Whoa-wee, bringers of change. What a journey to be back here on YouTube doing my first live in quite some time. And I am excited. I'm actually very excited to be here because this is just one of the first lot of lives that I will be doing, as well as a 5-part series of long-form video content on some of our worldwide exposure projects. So if you haven't seen the YouTube representation of this that I did around the end of December, just search in my channel, the Exposure Project, and you'll understand a little bit about what's going on a global stage and some of the things around mind control and different expressions of consciousness and your important aspect around how to stay grounded and focused on what your intention is that you want to create forward in your own life, but also for humanity. If you haven't tuned into me before, I'm Geeia Ariati. I am the founder and the co-creator of the DAC process and master teacher at the Purity of Isis Mystery School, as well as I do all things the law of one and sovereignty. So my purpose here is to bring a mission and assignment of sovereignty and reinstating sovereignty and releasing all entrapment programs from that of the collective in as many ways as I can as an individual do, and educate those on who are yet to understand these entrapment programs. And that's what we're here to talk about today. We are talking about the entrapment over our soul's blueprint, right? Sounds a little uncomfortable at first when you receive that. So it will bring up some remembrances, it will bring up some vibrations, it will bring up some expressions of feeling that might come up. So I work in the 4 quadrants. If you're not aware of the 4 quadrants, it's the mental quadrant, the spiritual quadrant, as well as your physical and your emotional. So your upper quadrants are those of your ethereal selves or your multidimensional. Your lower quadrants are the more physical matter expressions of your fabric. Now, for a unity being to be that of a presenter of truth, to be that of someone who speaks into the law of one, you need to sit in the middle, or at least be able to channel information from the middle, or have an objective viewpoint so you can present information from the middle way. The middle way is the way that I feel most aligned to. It does not make it the true way. So this is something that I'm going to share in preparation for today's live, is that the middle way is the way of the law of one, the point of the spark of creation that sees oneself through all perspectives, as above, so below, as within, so without. And there is a dissolving of polarization and a learning to be in the center point of the being, not up here and not down here. So sitting in the very center, and you could call this part here the high heart, and the center point of the high heart is where we get to sit in our unity point, our sovereign self, our sacred heart's desire. And so if you haven't heard the reference Sacred Heart's Desire, my invitation to all beloved soul family, humanity, all beings that are resonating to receive this live is that instead of asking for your higher self's guidance, your monadic self's guidance, your galactic, your cosmic consciousness, instead of speaking to your guides, angels that are all up here, that you start asking your sacred heart, your unity point, your center, spark, your essence, one of these words that will bring you here as a representation of being guided in clarity and in truth. So where I'm sitting today is a bit of a representation. See these stairs? These are the stairway to heaven. And this house represents a little bit of being in the realms of either the ascended self or the grounded, unified human self. So when we're downstairs, we're often working on the human level. When we're going up, we're working in a higher realm of interpretation. Now, my last 6 months has been a hell of an initiation, not just through the realms of hell, but through the realms of what I would consider Ascension, entrapment. Now, I've spoken a lot about false light, glimmer, glitter, that the realms of the galactic representation. So the Galactic Federation is no longer over council or doesn't have dominion over the earth. So anyone who's still working with the Galactic Federation is coming from a skewed perspective. It's not unified. The Council of Coyotes, which sits outside of that, is the governing agency over the earth, which is reinstating sovereignty. So what you're seeing at the moment is the exposure project. And what I'm sharing is an exposure so that unity over the next 2.5 to 3 years can be reinstated. Is sovereignty here? No, not yet. There are still people functioning from the old world paradigm of entrapment, contrast, slavery, polarization, and distortions through light and dark narratives, as well as when you look at those that have chosen the new earth paradigm, that we're choosing sovereignty and we're leading a pathway forward of sovereignty. Yet there is not a new earth land, there is not new earth government, there is not new earth currency, there is not new earth opportunity. We are only in the vibrational expression of the new earth. And what is required over this next 2 to 3 years is a big transformation of evolution on the planet to allow for that to be integrated into a solid physical human expression to live from. And so one of these areas to find that sovereignty, if this is a part of your truth, if your sacred heart desires to be a part of the new earth, to be sovereign, to have choice, to be in truth. If you are a truth seeker, stop seeking out there and start seeking in here. Become a truth bringer, a truth beer, a truth rememberer, and change this vocabulary, this word, because the word is what you will create. So if you're calling yourself a truth seeker, if you're talking into ascension, you're getting pulled into all of these concepts and paradigms that are actually going to pull you out of your sovereignty, out of your truth, out of the knowing of who you are. And you will continue these ones. Da-da, 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 da. So the law of one and sovereignty is what I'm here to share in relation to our soul's blueprint. So this is an exposure session on where our soul's blueprint have been controlled. Now, this is a really uncomfortable conversation for many to hear. And you might have heard some of me speaking into this sometime last year in relation to where you might have been born into the wrong family. Now, the wrong family doesn't mean that you were born in, and there's a wrongness about it. Yes, there is a misalignment, and it actually comes with, I didn't choose this. And a lot of us as bringers of change are here in the recognition, why would I choose this? I would not choose this. I don't understand. Now, I've asked myself this many times over my life experience, where I've looked for the actual truth around things. And I haven't got lost in the paradigms of spirituality, which leave you in self-punishment and in shame and in this constant self-responsibility for things that actually aren't your fault. You aren't responsible for everything in your life. You didn't choose everything in your life. And that's because your sovereignty has been taken from you. You have been conditioned by collective narratives. You have had imprints from your family. You have received that of trauma that was placed upon you based on some of this is just global interpretation of reality, but then there's also the soul blueprint interpretation of how this becomes damaging to your being. So what that means is that you come here with a soul's blueprint. Before you incarnate on earth, you've got this like beautiful, this designed life. You're like, I'm going to go with these personality traits. So I'm going to have these archetypes. My mission's going to be this. I'm going to go with this assignment. I'm going to have these contracts and agreements, and I'm going to have this divine relationship. I'm going to create this illness. I'm going to have this challenge because it will teach me strength and resilience. And so you have all of these areas that you write up, right? Up until recently, you write them all up. We always do, because Earth is supposed to be a sovereign zone, a free will zone, right? That's the law of this reality, is to have free will. And so your free will is you get to design your human experience. You get to come here, fill out your blueprint. Now, to make sense of the rest of what I'm going to say, is the core information here to understand at this level is that your blueprint, once you've designed it, once you've written it, you're assigned a group of guardians. Now, we could call these guardian angels, if you would like, or guides, or energetic support team, whatever it is that might be more resonant to you as a being. And you have a team. Now, on entry into this reality, you hand your blueprint over to those that are supposed to be in having the intention and goodwill and education through hierarchical consciousness to know the earth better than that of the soul coming in, because that is their job. Their job is to be ethereal support. Their job is to help remind. Their job is to assign you to the family in the most resonance to your blueprint, right? So their job is to read through your blueprint and go, yeah, beautiful, that will help you to get to this. Those personality types will help you to do this. This learning technique will help you to understand this. They're supposed to be like a teacher in the ethereal to read through everything and to go, yep, beautiful, check, check, check. All right, we've found the perfect land, the perfect location, the perfect family that fits that, which is going to help you to complete your mission assignment and remember who you are, develop your skills, and be of purpose to the great awakening and to your human evolution or earth school as possible. And so this plan or blueprint is given to them, and they're supposed to do that. However, there are beings that we have spent much time trusting. There are beings that we have spent much time surrendering for support, protection, giving over our sovereignty by handing this blueprint, that do not have your best interest at heart, that do not have you as a sovereign being remembering in truth to their agenda. And so you're assigned a team that basically has what you could call double agents that go, yeah, that doesn't work with what I desire for this experience. So I'm going to make a change of something being more vibrational resonant. Now, how I can explain this to you is that one of the changes in my blueprint was, so the blueprint that I've been living from is to live a life of, I'm trying to remember because I've done a lot of deletion. When something's deleted from your consciousness, it's very hard to re-access it. But okay, so one of the statements in my blueprint, I can remember the exact words now, was to live a life of pain to remember who I was, right? So that's what I've been living off, to live a life of pain to remember who I was. Now, that was not the original blueprint, vibrational resonance. If you see that, to live a life of pain to remember who I was is what I've lived from. And the word that was swapped was pain. Now, the word that I created for my human experience was actually pleasure. To live a life of pleasure to remember who I was. Now, that is a big transformation in one word that is vibrationally shifted. And this is what has happened to the Bible. The Bible has had multiple words that have been shifted out and a new word has been placed in. And this has created many, 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 many beings that have either A, been put into a a life experience or a home or a family dynamic that is not supportive to their being. Now, not only do they not have the parents that are the right guardians for them, they don't have the genetics or the body. And so the big thing for me has been this body has not been genetically up to the ability to hold my frequency and my consciousness. And it has been the area that has had to go under psychic surgery, under psychic surgery, under psychic surgery to allow for my DNA and my cellular structure to come into a physical representation that could actually hold my frequency. So that's just one area. Now, if we look at our health or our genetic representation, there are things like changing your genetic composition to instead receive frequency in a way that will overload your system or suppress your system rather than generate and support your system. So you've come in and you've designed your own genetics. You've said, I want to have a really strong sacral chakra. I really need to have more chi generate through my body. I need this chi to be able to help my cosmic womb so that I can birth these creations. This is a part of my path. I'm here to birth all of these creations. I am a birther, so I birth creations into the world. I birth them by going, hey, I can read your blueprint. This is what you're here for. I can help you build your modality. I can help you work through your resistance. I can help to activate those things. I can see for you. This is where you're going. How do you want support? Here you go, and hand it over. That's a part of being a birther. But when you manipulate the physical genetics, what happens, instead of being able to receive that from spirit or through here from spirit and going, oh, I can see it, here you go, what happens is your body starts to hold it because there's been a genetic manipulation at a cellular level in regards to geometry, light maps, and light coding. That birthing ends up being stored in the physical. So this body ends up storing everyone else's creations. I didn't, but I know what my creations were and what other people's creations were. I held other people's life path. I held other people's traumas. I held other people's expressions to help to line them up to their path. Now, that was not my sovereign choice. That was not my truth. That was manipulation of one vibrational expression in my blueprint. So how this shows up is you can be in the physical body that doesn't support your consciousness. You can be in a family where your guides or your guardians were not there for you. Or you can realize that your team, now I know this for many, many bringers of change. So where are my team? They abandoned me in a time of need. If they're your team, they don't do that. And we're told that it's because I stopped listening to source. I stopped being in my truth. That's not fully true either. The truth is they do abandon you. Some of them will put you in harm's way. Some of them will lead you into the pits of hell with a story that's created that it will help you evolve faster. It'll help you to get to here. And it's BS. It's not the truth. The truth is that some of the guardian angels that we call into our channeling, that we call into our meditation, that are here to protect us, actually don't have that as an agenda. They have their own self-serving agenda. And now a part of this that's really difficult to understand is we believe that the upper realms are here to support us. We believe that by going up into those upper dimensional expressions, that these higher expressions of light are here to be of unconditional love. They're here to be of truth. Well, that's not true, because as above, so below. And if you see the unity point is the 12th dimension in our interpretation. I'm sure there's many unity points in different perspectives through different multidimensional realities and consciousness expressions. But the unity point is actually the middle way. So anything below the 12th dimension is considered a descended aspect of consciousness. Anything above is considered an ascendant. And so if you go up beyond the 12th dimension, where you start going into light, you start moving up into the point of existence, which is omnipresence. And I'm going to speak into omnipresence and this reality of utopia and vibration in this way in regards to blueprints and tribes and teams and what's been taking place, to give a little bit of insight to some of the things you might be receiving. Is that this upper point of heaven and above, that heaven is the energy of God, right? Energy. Heaven holds God's consciousness. That is the creation of God consciousness. Now, source energy is different. Source frequency is a generative force of golden flowing energetic expression. That was not created in heaven. It is a very different expression. Now, I am not a being that was created from source frequency, but there are many of us that are. And that is one pillar to the I am of the Trinity. So you've got God consciousness created in heaven, source energy, and then you have the creator consciousness or the creator being. Now, creator beings, you have to get to a certain level of hierarchical evolution. You have to have come from the creator in some form to have that trinity and come into the I am. Now, creator beings can create other beings. And what happens is, if you are not aware of these ascended manipulations, is that the creator beings have you under contracts. They have you under these illusionary ideas that you're in service to them because they're of a higher evolved expression of consciousness through the hierarchy of information. Because something is up in the 27th or the 30th or before that of a dimensional reality does not make it of unification, purity, or truth. It means that it has a lens that is higher, but they might have absolutely no integrated interpretation or understanding of anything below a specific dimensional reality, which means they are skewed in their perspective, because you cannot experience reality in the eyes of God Source Creator, the Trinity, the I Am in totality, if you're running from one lens of interpretation. And what happens is you will bounce and move and bounce and move and bounce. Now, I'm going to speak into, I'm going to speak into Archangel Michael, for instance. And this one might be really uncomfortable for you, but I want you to see the story of Archangel Michael and Lucifer. Now, the story in the Garden of Eden is that Archangel Michael and Lucifer came into a war, that Lucifer was tempted, and he is the fallen angel, and then he fell into sin. Now, this betrayal that took place, if we are able to see Archangel Michael as the light or wounded masculine and Lucifer as the dark masculine, or the expression of this darker interpretation. Dark is the aspect of self that is unconscious. It is just where there is no information shown there yet, right? So Lucifer has a really bad rap in our reality and in our level of conscious interpretation because he's dark. He's actually not dark. He's been he was entrapped in the underworld for a very long time in a shadow aspect of consciousness because no one was willing to shine the light on the darkness to actually see what happened. And what happened between Lucifer and Archangel Michael is Archangel Michael wanted to be the protector of the world. He wanted to be the one that everyone calls on. Now, we could call this the nice guy syndrome. And maybe perhaps the original creation of the nice guy syndrome is that he wanted to rescue everyone. He wanted to be the savior. He wants to be the provider, the protector in the ethereal realms. How do you do that? Well, Lucifer actually was framed by Archangel Michael, framed in the form of that. What happens when you have two children and you have a child that might have some suppressed anger, might be a little bit bitey, but he does his thing and he goes through life, but he has that really annoying brother that's like, I'm going to poke at you. I'm going to poke until you explode and you get in trouble. No one sees me. I'm the divine golden child. Now that is what we could say the Archangel Michael Lucifer energy is that Archangel Michael has very intentionally throughout time and space created specific experiences, including changing your blueprint and mine, in a way where he gets to be the rescuer, the protector. But what happens if that hadn't have actually ever happened? What happens if those experiences were seen in truth, where we realize actually it's not Lucifer's fault at all? Michael's being a little shit, and he needs to take accountability and ownership for his actions and see how it is to be a true, pure, integrated expression of protection, in which he's not currently choosing. He's still choosing the agenda. So if you're calling his energy in, be very careful. Be very careful. With that, there is the awareness that these polarizations anywhere in history are skewed. And I know from personal experience, now some of you may have heard me say this, that I'm the reincarnation of the goddess Isis, blah, 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 blah. I don't have any attachment to that. I actually don't care to be labeled with any connection to that. However, there is an awareness that through my traversing, now the goddess Isis brought purity. Okay, so everything she does is around purification. It's not magic, it's not the queen. Yes, there's all those things as well. But her main consciousness that she was here to bring was a pathway to purity. Now, when you have a distortion in purity, what is that? That's actually very satanic and icky. So if you aren't clear and pure in your truth, if you're not in alignment with the Emerald Order, the law of one and sovereignty, you're creating, supporting, or denying things that create the very thing that you're not here to bring. And so with this, there is an awareness that different agendas, many different agendas, do not have sovereignty as a true integrated state in your best interest. And so this ascension trap is that of those expressions that have done very intentional things so that they can be the savior. That is the Galactic Federation. That's why conspiracy theorists are saying it's not the light hats and it's not the dark hats. It's the fact that neither of them actually care for your sovereignty. None of them. They all have their own intention and their own agenda. Now, although there is some transformation that's taking place globally, which I'll leave for the 5 series launch, which will be not live. These will be recorded sessions that I will be uploading. So there's 5 long form videos, and the first one's on Elon Musk. And I'm going to share with you the title just for interest. So if you are watching this for the first time, like, subscribe so you can receive this education. Episode 1, Elon Musk, the Antichrist or the bringer of sovereign intelligence. Now, these are going to be direct channels not with a council, direct channels not with some expression of a being, a direct channel from that of the unified I am source intelligence that is in a place with, I guess I do have an agenda, and I will be forthright with it. I'm here for sovereignty and truth. And I will go to whatever lengths is required to reinstate that on the planet, because I messed up. I didn't go to any lengths in the beginning to ensure that the original plan was instated. And that's why we're in this fuckery in the first place. However, many of us are reconciling, clearing, and making amends by reverse engineering ourselves, which brings a new pathway forward. And so with that, I have some very interesting things to be sharing in relation to what is here in some of those that we might be demonizing. I know that I've received a lot of demonization, and people do not understand what it is that I'm speaking, because it's not the love and light narrative. It's not what I'm here for. I'm here for truth. I'm here for sovereignty, and I'm here for that of the law of one. I'm not here for love and light. I'm not here for spiritual ascension. And I'm not even here for the 144. I'm here for every single being on this planet and everyone off this planet. So with that, we're going to move into the next uncomfortable part of this around blueprint changes. And so if you are aware that this has possibly happened to you, you may need to sort out some support in relation to genetic modifications that could have happened to your body. So some of these genetic modifications can be the reason that you can be really feeling a lot of heaviness, inability to hold your channel, cognitive dissonance, chronic fatigue. All of these symptoms of what we could consider autoimmune are often beings that have a really high evolved consciousness that aren't supported in their physical vessel. And so the quadrant of spiritual and physical is out of balance. Now, some of you might be more out of balance in the mental and the emotional. This is where your mental expressions, you might be programmed with implanted constructs, implanted paradigms, and your emotional body might have been manipulated. So you could be manipulated in all of them. I know I was. And that these little tiny word changes make a extremely different experience in your reality, including the choices or the experiences that have unfolded to you. And we can see it through the blissful eyes of, yes, thankfully I have gone through all of that so I can serve a purpose and tell people about it so that they don't fall into this trap and reinstate sovereignty. But the truth is, it's BS. I didn't choose the life that I've lived up until the last few months. That there has been that much infiltration, manipulation, agenda, and mutation that it is an absolute fucking miracle that I can speak to this. That I have the ability to find and remember the truth, because everything was against me. And if you are awakening to the truth of who you are a miracle. You are absolutely a miracle, because it is almost impossible to do so. Thankfully, enough of us are choosing it that we're creating these pathways for the future generations so that it's a little easier, and maybe they don't have to go to sleep. Maybe they'll land in the perfect family with a mother and father that is in vibrational resonance. And that's another distorted belief system I'd like you to release. This whole nothing's perfect, so let's just accept the imperfections of life. Well, actually, there is perfect truth for us as individuals. Perfect truth in vibrational resonance of our heart's octave. That's not what we've decided perfection is from our brain. It's the perfect resonance for a life that we desire to live, even in the expressions of challenge, in the expressions of evolution, transformation. There is a perfect reality that's there for every single one of us that was taken from us. All right, moving into the next expression. Some of you might have been hearing the word Utopia in your channels. You might have even seen it on my channel. You might have understood this energy of Utopia coming forward. And this utopian frequency came in after we moved through. So in timelines, last year in November, on the 14th of November, the tipping point occurred. We shifted into New Earth. And then the birthing of Sister Tara occurred not long after that, which was actually on the 18th of November. And so the tipping point occurred, New Earth was chosen, enough beings chose this vibration. The split occurred, or should I say the birth, because we were like this. Then we went at the 14th of November, we went to this. And then when Tara was born, we ended up like this. And so what we're doing is slowly building two realities on this planet. One that decides to still live in the dominion of control and the ascension, polarization. One that has New Earth and unity, sovereign free will and choice. And the truth about this is you get to choose where do you want to function from. Now, when this happened, and Sister Tara was birthed. Everyone felt quite a bit of relief. There was a period of transformation and synergy. There was a bit of grounding. It was quite a beautiful time that allowed for us to go, oh, breath air, fresh air. Okay, let's stabilize. Then we started to move into December and it started to accelerate again. And the 28th and the 29th was a significant date that I feel many of us were looking at, thinking some global stage was going to happen, thinking from our human lens of interpretation that something big was going to happen, and it didn't to our eyes. Now, what happened on the 28th and the 29th? The 28th being in the US, the 29th in Australia, one day, not two, was that there was a massive assignment for a big group of souls that was completed, I being one of them. My assignment for this human experience was to bring as many of the 144 into remembrance of who they are, so the leaders of this paradigm, you could say, but I'm not saying that in hierarchical expression at all. My mission was get as many of the 144 over as possible. Now, I definitely put a lot of pressure on myself to do that, and that mission was completed, and I was given a choice point to change, and that was actually holding the gates of heaven open to as many of the 144 as were willing to return into that heavenly consciousness, that Christos, that remembrance. And that meant that my mission and assignment for the earth, that was why I came. That was the only reason I came. I was given a choice then of I can leave or I can stay and create from my own sovereign truth. Now, that's pretty scary for many of us. When we haven't had sovereignty, when we've been a part of the divine plan, which I can tell you was not actually very divine at all, it was very, very, very mutated, is that you don't know what to do with yourself because you've been here with one lens focus. Everything you've done has driven you to that point. I have to complete my mission. I have to complete my mission. I have to complete my mission. That when you give someone sovereignty, even someone as aware and conscious as I, that creates a bit of panic. So if you imagine the human race and we just said, hey, you're a sovereign being. You can choose everything that you've ever desired. They wouldn't know what the fuck to do. They would freak out, and it's too much. They're not at the level of consciousness because of millions of years of manipulation and conditioning. And so it is a process. We are taking them through a process. The process for humanity is come into heart-based recognition, which is self-love. Self-love, self-service, right? So there's a shift that's taking place on the human consciousness into that level. Now, for those that are coming into unity, because we're leading a different paradigm, we're not here to sit in love. We're actually here to sit in unification and build the new world order. Now, some people might find that an uncomfortable word in new world order. There needs to be order in this reality. You need to have laws. You need to have governing bodies. We are not at a point of evolution where we are all free. And you have to be aware of that. If you're not willing to accept, actually, we can't be given our freedom at this point in time because that would be a fucking shit show. Instead, recognize that it is a step-by-step process. First, I need to see that I'm sovereign. First, I need to choose my unity. First, I need to know how to hold myself in that so that I can build the processes, the schools, the education, the political expressions. Then you might see things like Donald Trump and Elon Musk a little differently, because it would be the end of the world. If you told everyone you're sovereign and free and you can create everything, this entire reality would explode into non-existence. Power of knowing, wisdom, takes great responsibility. And how I can explain that is when I was given the choice to go into pure consciousness, when I was given that initiation of you can come into pure consciousness and pure creation now, are you really ready to do that? I was not. I was like, oh, fuck, I know what that means. That means everything I think, I create. That means everything I do, there's no separation point anymore. There's no barrier. There's no buffer. That every single word I express creates. I'm a very strong creator being. Many of you are. That comes with a lot of responsibility. And so I had to work through the recognition that I was terrified that I wasn't able to hold myself. Now, I went through some pretty uncomfortable initiations to get to a point that I could hold myself so that I speak in truth every moment. And when I don't, I reconcile it straight away. Now, with this, there is a strong recognition that for you to come into this level of truth, for you to become this sovereignty, there is some of you that might resonate with being a 144. I'm not. I'm a 199. I didn't even realize because I was holding my beloved's templates and he was holding mine. And there was marrying and merging of consciousness. I've been on the wrong path for the last 4.5 months. I went off my soul's purpose because of these mutations in my blueprint and his. Because my heart was merged with his heart matter, his heart consciousness. So I was actually serving his timeline, his tribe, his expressions of beings. Now, this is really, this broke my heart, because if you know me up until the last, maybe until my beloved came in my life, and this is not his fault at all. This is my fault. This is, and well, there's many faults at play actually, is that when I'm on purpose, I'm vivacious, I'm playful, I've got so much generation of creation. When I'm off my path, I don't want to be here. I don't like the earth. I hate being in my body. I'm tired. My body hurts. There's too much frequency or there's not enough. Now, I went off my path 4.5 months ago and I started bringing in the Utopian tribes path. And so the reason that I've pre-framed this is because there's so many pieces of information here for you all, and so many codes, so many DNA alignments that are taking place in this transmission. Is that when I went off path, my body started to expand. So I went from, it doesn't really matter dress size, but we'll say I've gone up 2, almost 3 dress sizes. I've put on 15 kilos. That's never happened in my life. And that's because I strayed so far from my own vibrational truth. And I didn't even realize, because I kept going into here. What is my sacred heart's truth? Oh, hang on. My sacred heart has married to my partner's sacred heart. It's not my heart. Now that is a very confusing paradigm to be existing from. Now, not all of you are going to have that level of multidimensional manipulation or entrapment or trickery. But when you take someone as of yourself, you're not actually meant to take them as of yourself in the physical form. You take them conceptually as of yourself. You hold them in your hands. You don't marry, merge your particles. You don't marry, merge your spirit. You don't conjoin your soul templates or any of your information, because then you are not an individual sovereign being. You become entrapped in your relationship, entrapped in your family, entrapped in your soul tribe. You lose sovereignty and you don't know which way is what way. If you've married yourself into Mother Geia or Sister Tara, the New Earth paradigms, whatever that is holding dominion over you. Now, I didn't obviously know this, otherwise I wouldn't have done this, but I'm grateful for all of the acceleration that has taken place. There's a lot of beauty that has happened through this. By me going off path, there was enough frequency that was pumped into the earth, into my body, and into the experience for the birth of Tara. That wouldn't have happened had I have not chosen what I did, because I was a massive contributor to that. So with that, the Utopians, we'll call them. So they're the tribe called the Utopians. The Utopians come from before heaven. Now, the Utopians are beings they're not beings. They're actually before that. So I am a light being. I have an amazing capacity with light. I'm from heaven. Yeshua was my father. He was my creator. I was not created directly from God. And the beauty of that is that I know what I am, right? I've traversed, I've remembered, I've integrated, I've solidified. Yet there are the utopians. Now, the utopians, after the birth of Tara, after the new earth was brought through, there was an intention and agenda to bring through utopia. Utopia sounds beautiful, sounds amazing, and in its purified form, like everything, it is. Yet, these beings held so much energy that they manipulated light. They manipulated geometry, and their agenda was to come and take over the world and make it a utopian society. This is where light or higher ascended agendas are no better than any other. Because when you are narrow focused on one mission, we're going to create a utopian earth, you don't give a fuck about other people. You don't see the distortions. You are focused on this is how we get there, this is what we're doing. And you actually give up your own sovereignty. So this utopian tribe works from before heaven. They were the creators of heaven. So we all have connection to them. And what they are is actually omnipresence. Omnipresence is the very first expression into existence. Now, if you Google omnipresence, it means everywhere, at all times, all of the time. Now, these expressions of omnipresence that are here in physical form, and I know quite a few of them, because I was roped into their mission, and I'm in loving grace. I know that humans didn't intentionally do this. And that's what's challenging for many of us is, why are you doing this to me? But your human is like completely unawares. And that's a part of purification, emergence and coming spirit and matter in form, is that the so AUM, was inverted. Now, if we look around reality and religion, there is many. I have the symbol tattooed onto my ankle. Now, I imprinted myself with this agenda when I was not aware. I was only 18 years old, and I got this printed onto my ankle because it meant, I think when I looked it up, it was birth, life, death was what I came to the conclusion. I was like, oh, that's the circle of life. That's beautiful, amazing, right? And that was the creator of Utopia. Now, in that reality, you have different omnipresence expressions. Now, one is a luminescence and one is a luminosity. Now, these are almost invisible. And so their agenda is almost invisible. Because if you go beyond light, you've got invisibility, right? Everywhere at all times. That is a very powerful agenda when it's not purified, because it is not seen. And that's what pulled me into the path that I was. Everything was invisible. I couldn't receive, channel. Things were disappearing in the field. Things were being planted in the field, all to bring in this utopian reality. Now, with this, there's an awareness that omnipresence is not purified, and that we, as beings, and many of us have been birthed from this original creator that is not purified, that people are chanting into this reality all of the time. Now, that is not the actual sound. If we listen to the and I can't do it right now because it's no longer vibrationally resonant for me to do, it is of a lower octave. It is actually quite low down into the abdomen. The actual is a higher octave. It's a very different tonality in its purity, and it has a inversion that's been created to manipulate. It has an inversion that takes over your body and your being, and vibration and sound ripples through reality. And this agenda has had a lot of control up until recently, and these beautiful beings, the utopian tribe, have all been choosing unity. which is powerful, because when you have enough beings choosing unity, you are able to release this from the collective consciousness. You are able to have it as a choice that, no, we're not going to be controlled by an agenda from the below or from the above. We are not going to allow ourselves to be manipulated. It is not my sacred heart's truth to do this. I'm not going to push, pull, or punish myself for the new earth. God Source Creator does not punish you. God Source Creator will not create pain in your body for your service. God Source Creator and the I Am and the Law of One will not hurt you to learn lessons. God Source Creator and the I Am will not cause you discomfort in a way to awaken you. In truth, in the fullest truth of presence, that's not how it works. If you are going through pain, if you are going through suffering, if you are accelerating and you are in overwhelm or overload, if you have too much frequency in your body, you can be pumped with these frequencies. You can have different agendas pump your physical body with light that is not your sacred heart's truth. And you have been programmed to believe that you have to ascend to a certain level just to assist this agenda or intention. And so looking at your being now, with everything that I've shared, and there's lots and lots and lots of layers here, you might want to re-listen and write some notes around the things that really hit you. To be able to recognize that the agenda does not care about you. That's the truth. The truth hurts, but it will also set you free. So in your sacred heart, in your unified point, in the all-knowing, all-loving, all-expressing you, what do you know about your experience right now? Are you being controlled by the upper? Are you being controlled by the lower? Are you being controlled by your outer or your inner? Are you being controlled by your mental quadrant? Are you being controlled by your spiritual quadrant? I know, right? This is where we got to really break down distorted perspectives. If you're hanging out in the spiritual, you're controlled. If you're being controlled by your physical or your emotional, and starting to get really clear on where it is that holds the distorted aspects of you, where it is in your soul's blueprint where you are ready to claim. So something you can do in this moment is, many of us that chose the new earth, we're like, fuck that. You can have that blueprint. I don't want it anymore. I'm creating my own. And you have that choice. You have the choice to create your own soul's blueprint right now. Delete your old one. Give it up. Get rid of it at a genetic and a molecular structural level. And start anew. Start fresh. Start from here. Not from the divine plan. Not from ascended consciousness. Not from, I'm here to do this. I have to bring this. This is my mission and service. What do you want your mission and service to be? What do you want your life theme to be? What do you want to bring into this beautiful reality that would make you feel a sense of play, joy, and freedom? What is it that you're really here for? Beyond all of the stories that have been implanted. Just ask here. Now, if this is something that resonates to you and you're wanting to understand how to build, consciously create your soul's energy blueprint, interpret it, and start to live by it, please join my mailing list, which is in the links and the comments below, because there will be new launches on conscious creation, so you can live your life by your design, not by the agendas or the divine plan or the soul heavenly family, but from your sacred heart's truth in I Am. As that will be being launched in the next 2 to 3 weeks, as I fully integrate everything that has taken place in my reality over the last 6 months, and I am able to hold myself and the integrated work in totality. This body, so grateful for this body. If you haven't met your body, I would love you to meet your body. My body's name's Delilah. Delilah she is a fucking trooper. She is so devoted to me and to God Source Creator and to sovereignty. And I am so honored and grateful to have her as the vessel for my spirit, my consciousness in union in this reality as this human being right here, right now. Thank you, Delilah, for all that you do. Invitation to get into your consciousness and meet your body and start to commune with your body, my darlings. If you would like to join our community, which is actually being rebranded, we do new earth work as well as quantum elevation sessions. We have 2 weekly mentoring that go for 90 minutes. We just did yesterday life theme, which is about creating your life theme. And I did do a short YouTube on it, which I will link to the end of this video and in the comments below. Or you can go visit my channel. Life theme is around living in alignment to what it is that would bring you fulfillment based on your values as an individual. If you're not in alignment with your life theme, you're going to find that there's a level of pain, suffering, resistance, resentment that gets built. When you live in your life theme, you actually create abundance, prosperity, interactions, and everything that is truly, truly, truly what you desire. And that brings these joyful smiles to your face. All right, my loves, please like and subscribe, share this video on your socials and with anyone that you feel might resonate. I love you, I love you, I love you.